On January 15, 2009, the world watched in awe as Captain Sully Sullenberger expertly landed U.S. Airways Flight 1549 on the Hudson River, saving the lives of all 155 passengers and crew on board. Dubbed the Miracle on the Hudson, this incredible feat of skill and bravery has been hailed as one of the greatest aviation achievements in history. In his book, Surviving the Impossible, My Story of the Miraculous Rescue on the Hudson, Sully shares the incredible story of how he and his crew managed to pull off the impossible and the lessons he learned from the experience. The flight of U.S. Airways 1549, a memorable journey. On a chilly January afternoon in 2009, U.S. Airways Flight 1549, affectionately known as Cactus 1549, prepared for takeoff at New York City's LaGuardia Airport. The destination, Charlotte, North Carolina, with a connecting flight to Seattle. The aircraft was an Airbus A320, powered by two CFM International turbofan engines. At the helm was the experienced Captain Sully Sullenberger, a former fighter pilot with over 19,000 flight hours under his belt, including 4,765 and an A320. Joining him in the cockpit was First Officer Jeffrey Skiles, who had over 20,000 career flight hours, but this was his first A320 assignment as pilot flying. 150 passengers and 3 flight attendants were on board, ready for an exciting adventure. Takeoff and bird strike. As the clock struck 3:24 p.m. and 56 seconds Eastern Standard Time, the flight was given clearance to take off from LaGuardia Runway 4 with Skiles at the helm. The crew made their first report after becoming airborne at 3:25 and 51 seconds, soaring to 700 feet and climbing higher. The weather was ideal for flying with 10 miles visibility and broken clouds at 3,700 feet, and a gentle wind blowing at 8 knots. As the flight continued, Sullenberger couldn't help but admire the stunning view of the Hudson. But tragedy struck at 3 hours 27 minutes 11 seconds as the plane encountered a flock of Canada geese while climbing. The impact was devastating, with loud bangs and flames from the engines filling the pilot's view. Both engines shut down, and Sullenberger took control as Skiles worked to restart them. Despite the efforts, it became clear that the plane would not make it back to the airport, and Sullenberger radioed for an emergency landing on the Hudson River. Passengers were instructed to brace for impact, and the flight attendants relayed the command. With a heavy heart, Sullenberger guided the plane to a water landing, and with the help of vessels in the Hudson, the Coast Guard prepared for rescue. Ditching the evacuation. At 3:31 p.m., just 90 seconds later, the plane made an unexpected and dramatic landing in the middle of the North Hudson section of the Hudson Tidal Estuary. The descent was compared to a hard landing, with one impact, no bounce, then a gradual deceleration by flight attendants. Sullenberger, the pilot, quickly opened the cockpit door and gave the order to evacuate, and the crew began to help passengers out through the window exits and into inflatable slides and rafts. However, the evacuation was made more difficult by water entering the plane from a hole in the fuselage and open cargo doors, and by someone opening the rear left door. Despite these challenges, Sullenberger personally walked the cabin twice to confirm that all passengers were safely evacuated. Despite the cold temperatures of between 19 and 41 Fahrenheit and -7 and 5 degrees Celsius, some evacuees waded knee-deep in water on the partially submerged slides, while others stood on the wings or swam to safety. Rescue. Captain Sullenberger made a calculated decision to crash land the airliner near boats, ensuring a swift rescue operation. Within minutes, New York waterway ferries arrived on the scene and began evacuating passengers using a specialized device called a Jason's cradle. Additional boats, including those from the U.S. Coast Guard, all rushed to the scene. Sullenberger expertly directed the rescue efforts, instructing the ferry crews to prioritize those on the wings as they were in great danger. The last passenger was safely rescued at 3:55 p.m. As the rescue operation unfolded, a formidable team of 140 New York City firefighters, police, helicopters, and various vessels and divers arrived at the nearby docks to assist. Other agencies provided medical support on the Weehawken side of the river, where the majority of passengers were taken. It was a true team effort that saved the lives of all on board. Miraculous survival on the Hudson. Despite the harrowing experience, the passengers and crew were able to escape with only minor injuries. However, not everyone made it out unscathed. 78 people received medical attention, mostly for minor injuries and hypothermia. 24 passengers and 2 rescuers were treated at hospitals, with 2 passengers kept overnight. Eye damage from jet fuel caused one of the passengers to need glasses. No pets were being carried on the flight. As a gesture of goodwill, each passenger later received a letter of apology, $5,000 in compensation for lost baggage, and $5,000 more if they could demonstrate larger losses, and a refund of their ticket price. In May 2009, they received any belongings that had been recovered. Passengers also reported offers of $10,000 each in return for agreeing not to sue U.S. Airways. Though they had survived the accident, many passengers and rescuers later experienced post-traumatic stress symptoms such as sleeplessness, flashbacks, and panic attacks. Some began an email support group. Patrick Harton, the controller who had worked the flight, said that the hardest post-traumatic part of the entire event was when it was over, and that he was gripped by raw memories of shock and grief. To prevent similar accidents in the future, officials captured and gassed 1,235 Canadian geese at least 17 locations across New York City in mid-2009, and coated 1,739 goose eggs with oil to smother the developing goslings. As of 2017, 70,000 birds have been intentionally killed in New York City as a result of the ditching. The damaged aircraft, N-106 US, was purchased by the Carolinas Aviation Museum in Charlotte, North Carolina, where it was put on display as a reminder of the bravery and quick thinking of the crew and the resilience of the passengers who faced this incredible challenge. Investigation. A subsequent investigation revealed that the cause of the crash was the ingestion of large birds into the engines, causing a significant loss in thrust. The National Transportation Safety Board released its final report on May 4, 2010, which attributed the successful outcome of the crash to several key factors. The NTSB recognized the good decision-making and teamwork displayed by the cockpit crew and made 34 recommendations for improvements. William Langvish argued that the fly-by-wire design of the A320 was not given enough credit for its role in the successful outcome of the crash, but Captain Sullenberger, who was the pilot of the flight, stated that the fly-by-wire design prevented him from performing the optimal landing flare for the ditching. The accident remains one of the most well-known incidents in aviation history and is often cited as an example of exceptional airmanship and quick thinking in the face of an emergency situation. That concludes today's video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.